Hi guys, welcome to Simproved, Fry speaking here, and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. Today we are going to build the Red Keep from the Game of Thrones series. For those who haven't seen the series or aren't through yet, this is spoiler free, you can just watch it and see how I built this. And for those who are not a fan of the series but are into Sims, this is a really amazing castle. It took me lots and lots of time to build, and I tried to recreate it as good as possible and transport it into the Sims 4. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, I started on the 64 by 64 lot on Windenburg Island again. This is the biggest lot size that we have in game so far, and I also used all of the packs that I have, which is all of them so far. Maybe I haven't used all of them, but please look these things up in the links that I will provide down below in the video description. But yeah, for those who are just interested how I built this, here we go. I started to build the rough shape. This was really hard to do in the beginning and took, I guess, lots and lots of more time than if I would have just made like a fantasy castle out of my mind, because I had printed out at least, I think, 10 pictures, like full-size papers, and put them all over the place next to my monitor and my PC, so I can always look these up. So sometimes I will stop building for short times of seconds. This is when I just look up things and will try to recreate everything. This is basically what I did. I started with really basic shapes, with squares, with the little octagonal towers, since we don't have round walls in The Sims 4. And then I just tried to look up all the proportions to one and each of these towers and every little annex and building to each other. So I have the basic look of the whole Red Keep. I also looked up, of course, some episodes of the show. I looked up some other Red Keep builds in The Sims 4, which I will also link down below. There's one that I really like, and it's from like a good friend of mine who sadly doesn't do any build videos anymore, but she did like a really good job on hers as well. So I will link that down below because you have to check it out. It's just gorgeous as well. I think it took about 35 hours to build this, full and total with interior and all that kind of stuff. So it is quite a very long build. It took lots and lots of time. But I actually like these kinds of builds more than just, you know, the teenage bedroom and stuff like this, because it's a little bit more challenging. And since we didn't have any new, you know, game packs and expansion packs and all that kind of stuff, you know, new content for The Sims 4 so far for a very long time, I tend to do and recreate stuff that I personally think is kind of challenging and would also be interesting to have in The Sims 4, because I can see that people really like to play also like medieval kind of fairy tale gameplay in The Sims, which is of course totally possible. So this is a really cool castle to use in these kinds of gameplay styles, I would say. And also, in my opinion, when I looked at it, it's always like challenging to recreate something that you can see in a series or is based on a book or of a movie or something like that. So yeah, this is basically what I'm trying to do here as well. I have read a little bit about the Red Keep. I was actually interested why the Red Keep is red. I'm not sure if it's referenced in the books because I haven't looked up the books. I just stalked lots and lots of Wikipedia pages and all that stuff. And yeah, it never said why it's red. Probably it's like kind of like a brick thing. In the series though, the shape and like some minor details of this castle change. This also has to do that after the third season, the production designer changed as well. And I also think because maybe they had more budget or other things got added to the series, kind of, that they had to put into the castle or next to the castle. Yeah, so I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, I think this is the reason why it also changed a little bit. I think, in my opinion, it changed a little bit of color, and also some little turrets or kind of towers also changed position, which I'm absolutely sure. I don't know why they did this. I actually thought that the original, like from the first season, was already looking pretty dope. But yeah, they changed a little bit on the whole castle, and I also will change quite some things, of course, on the exterior layout a little bit, because I had several references, and also I thought some things I could just put out and not put into this castle because it's not like necessary for Sims gameplay, and also just would be a little bit more boring. So for example, we will have a huge park in the inner courtyard, I would say, which is referenced in the books. It is also referenced in the series. They're walking around like a park kind of area, huge garden park area, but it's not there in the panning shots when you see the castle in the series. Which is why I also had like some troubles how some parts of the whole castle look like from certain angles, and I had to wing this as well. So this is like, I would say let's just say an 85% exterior model of the Sims 4 version of this, or from the Game of Thrones castle, and I actually really, really liked how it looks like. Like, if I look now to my left to all these pictures that are printed out, it looks kind of accurate. I especially had, of course, some troubles with the roofs because it has quite flat, I think the roof color is not red ceramics, I think. It's supposed to be brownish, bluish, grayish or something. And then some pictures that I found, which are especially from the first 2 seasons, I think they have even flat roofs. So it's kind of, I had my freedom here. So of course I will paint it in red brick. And I also mix up the wallpaper a little bit because we have several of them, and I just thought it looks a little bit more interesting if it's not like in the same brick color. And as you could already see, I used an octagonal end table, made it bigger and stacked it into the turrets and towers as well, which I will later then make, I think, brownish, in a brownish color, so that I could change the tower height as well a little bit more accurately, since we only have 3 wall heights in The Sims 4 and we can only build 4 stories up and 2 stories down for the basement. So this is kind of like a thing that I also have to, you know, consider if I'm building something like this. Here's the exterior wall, which is also on my pictures that I found, reference pictures. It is, of course, a little bit, you know, simpler, but yeah, like everything in The Sims 4, I have to make it a little bit more simpler. It can't be like 100% accurate. But I think from the exterior, it definitely looks like the castle, like maybe even 90%. I'm really, really happy how it turned out. And the interior, I had to totally wing it because, of course, it is filmed like on the stage, like in huge stages. They filmed it, I think, in Dubrovnik in Croatia, which is also like where I want to go somewhere or someday, which would be really, really cool to look at some of the exterior parts that they used as reference, of course. And yeah, therefore it got like mixed from all different kind of ideas and locations. And therefore I didn't have a blueprint from the interior. So for example, there's of course reference the Great Hall, which you can also see in the exterior. I just thought this is probably where the Great Hall is. I don't know where it is, but the Great Hall is basically the throne room. And since the Red Keep is also the castle of the king of the 7 kingdoms, king or queen of the 7 kingdoms, like the king in the capital city. Of course, we have a throne room this time. I already made Winterfell, which had a throne room, but didn't have a throne, so to speak, because it actually just had like these huge banquet tables, these long tables. But yeah, this time we have a throne room, so it's also a little bit more luxurious and opulent, I think, than the Winterfell one, of course, since, yeah, we are also talking about like warmer climates here, no winter, you don't have to have lots of carpets and like keeping warm stuff, so I could make it actually really, really interesting. And I saw that it's actually located, of course, on a huge hill, kind of cliffside, and therefore I used the terrain paint for the exterior or the outside of the walls, where actually usually is the city, the capital, King's Landing, it's called. I could implement at least 5 little tiny houses, so it looks like a little village there. I thought that's like cool for gameplay or like storytelling as well of machinima. And also here's a little tip for the exterior of the wall. Since I wanted it to look really huge, I made the trees again smaller, so it appears to be all kind of very, very like a huge building. This is also like a trick that I used to have like some forced perspective. So the exterior or outside of the wall, all the greenery is a little bit smaller or sized down like 3 times. So it kind of looks all very small and far away on like this huge hill, but it's actually just like a trick that I love to use, especially in these kinds of builds. It's all mostly all about the idea to convey that it's a huge plot of land, which it isn't, because I really want to have even larger lots. And therefore, you can use these kind of tricks. Of course, lots and lots of stones and grass and, you know, nothing like really upkept outside. And here we are with a little village, basically like a start of a village. I thought maybe if you want to play there, you can have like a servant girl living there in the village or something like this, and she falls in love with the prince or whatever. But yeah, I thought that it would be really, really cool to have like kind of little references. These are really, really tiny houses. I didn't furnish them because you can basically just put like a bed in there or something. I wanted to give you the freedom to at least furnish like a 2x4 house, which is really small. Of course, I will also as well cut out the whole bathrooms. There are several bathrooms, I think 12 of them or something in this whole build. So please don't write in the comments down below there are no bathrooms just because I don't show them. Of course, I had to heavily cut this whole video. I mean, it's 35 hours of building. I think I recorded 30. And then I even had to, after speeding it up, I had to cut a lot out, because it's just repetitive stuff, like placing rocks and grass and little nicks and nooks that you can see just right away if you look at the video tour in the end, of course. So yeah, I thought it would be really cool to have like some tiny little houses in front as well. And this is basically how I always do it. I do the exterior first, then I do the gardening, which we do here now. Like I said, there is a garden in the courtyard. I wanted to have it a park, because I just thought at least a park you can use in The Sims 4, you know, kind of for having romantic dates or like wandering the grounds or whatever your royal famous Sims or whoever lives there like to do these days. Keep in mind that I'm not that big in gameplay or into gameplay. I really just love to build a lot. So yeah, just feel free to use this lot and build on it, renovate it, or just, you know, you can use it for whatever you like. I don't care. Once it's uploaded, it's there for you, free to use and free to download, and yeah, just go crazy. So I wanted to have a large fountain kind of thing, because that one was also seen in one of the series, which looked totally different, but I wanted at least to have one kind of fountain there, you know, where you can sit on the side and then maybe talk to your bestie or something like that, which happened in the series. So I thought that's like a cool idea to have like at least a tiny bit of park. And yeah, basically it's just slamming in lots and lots of bushes, and from the romantic garden stuff, these domes and the arches that kind of look very overgrown. I just thought these look amazing. Like I said in all of my videos, if you are into landscaping and exterior design or whatever it's called, gardening design, the romantic garden stuff pack is definitely a must-have for builders, and therefore, yeah, just use that a lot in these kinds of castle builds, of course. Here we are already in the throne room, which is the Great Hall, and it's basically 2 stories where I deleted the floor, and so it looks like really, really grand. And I needed to have lots and lots of arches all around to cover the fact that the windows are cut in half a little bit, and cover that. So we are going to use lots and lots of arches and of course columns to also widen the whole great hall, so it looks even huger when you stand, like when your little tiny sim is like standing there. Of course, as it maybe lots and lots of you know, there is the Iron Throne. I don't have an Iron Throne in The Sims, and I don't use any CC or like custom content or downloadable stuff. So I used the throne from the Get Famous pack. I think it's like a set piece or something. And I thought this looks really, really cool in my opinion. And I tried to use some of the swords that we have and kind of stuck it in there, but it looked ridiculous, like not at all like the Iron Throne, and just thought, okay, this is silly. No Iron Throne in my part. I'm really sorry for that, but I at least wanted to have like a good looking throne, and I couldn't make it happen. So yeah, lots of archers, some guards, red carpet. We are going to full-blown medieval kind of, you know, fancy schmancy romantic fairy tale version here. And here is the kitchen, which has like a huge table where the servants, for example, can eat then. And of course like a stove and a fridge and a sink and stuff, so your servants can prepare the meals, and of course so your Sims can also survive in this. I really hate doing kitchens for these castles because of course these counters and all these kinds of stuff doesn't look at all like a medieval kitchen, but I need the counters to prepare the food, and I need the fancy looking, very modern looking sink for that, and stove and so on, which I'm not a huge fan, so please ignore that fact that it kind of looks more like a 19th century, I don't know, kitchen interior. But yeah, this is as far medieval as I can go here, guys. I have my limits. Of course, in the whole interior design has only candles. There are no electricity kind of devices in there. So of course there's no stereo, there's no TV, no computers, and all that kind of stuff. Kind of is self-explanatory a little bit. And then I had lots and lots of bedrooms. It has at least 10 of them, I think. So lots and lots of Sims can live there. And the downstairs area where there is the kitchen, next to it there are these servants kind of bedrooms. I had different servant bedrooms, and from the lowest level it gets like really basic. They have like just the beds and not that many decorations, and as far we progress the levels, like the second and the third and the fourth, it gets more luxurious, the whole bedroom. So of course the king and the queen and the lady and the lord or whatever who live really upstairs, these also have like the best bedroom. There we have a little library, because it's referenced in the books and the series that every castle kind of has like a library. And of course a maester, so-called maester, like this is the person who is basically a doctor slash university professor or something, historian, and you know, all that kind of stuff. So we have that reference in the book. So of course I have a library there, and of course a bedroom for the maester, for the or maybe the magician or something like this, you know. Just thought it kind of makes more sense to have something like this. Then we have a little armory. This is not as big as the one in Winterfell, because in Winterfell it's kind of referenced that the armor is quite big, and also they have like a smith on the premises as well, so I had like a larger armory there. Here just a little bit more basic. I assume the armory, of course, in the capital, like in the main castle, is of course way bigger. But since we can't really have that in the Sims 4, like as a usable armory, like the Sims can't go to the swords and kind of equip it, so it kind of doesn't make sense. I made the armory a little bit smaller. Here we are in a bedroom that's kind of a little bit more fancy, but still not like the full-blown, the queen lives there kind of fancy. And also sometimes next to the bedrooms are like servant quarters, and of course like the bathrooms that I was talking about. So I was experimenting with the wall decor, because I sometimes had like really tall walls, and all my furniture kind of got sucked into this void that was the floor, and I still had like so much space on all the walls. So I had to come up with kind of medieval looking interior design here as well. I use red a lot. If I can use a color, I use red, since in this is also not a spoiler, so don't hate me. In the series, the Lannister family lives there, and they have red and gold as their main kind of house colors. So I will use red here as well, like as a reference here for every kind of decoration that comes in a red swatch. I use sometimes the red swatch as well. But yeah, here we are with the beds, like upstairs kind of area where the royals live. There are also some fancy boudoir kind of foyer living rooms, like common rooms or something like this. Sitting rooms, I think it's also referred to in some castles. But yeah, it's kind of looking a little bit more fancy. Some places to sleep, some places to hang out and eat and paint, you know, like some fine art stuff. Also the bonsai trees, so they can cultivate their gardening a little bit. I tried to put in some of these kind of things because I thought, hey, we don't have sewing or something like this, but maybe this gets close to kind of like a hobby that a royal would have here in the Sims 4. But yeah, this is basically the whole upstairs interior of the castle. Lots of bedrooms, and besides the throne room, the armory and the kitchen and the library, there's nothing like super exclusive going on that I have to explain a little bit. It was kind of hard to come up with a layout that's working because of course we needed stairs here a lot. And since I didn't have a blueprint of this whole castle, I had to wing a lot and kind of invent stuff, where stuff is and how the whole thing is like connected to each other, which is totally not accurate like from a real life castle. There would have been more halls and like hallways and all that stuff, which we don't have here in this build because I really wanted to use the space. And here we are in the catacombs, dungeons or cells or whatever you would call. I think this is more of the dungeons. It's referenced in the books. It's also seen in the series. There is a huge dragon skull in the dungeons. I won't say which one it is and why it's there, just watch the series if you're interested. But of course, this is like one of the most famous things about that, you know, about the castle, that they have like this huge dragon skull. And I found the Get Famous dinosaur head. I think it's like a collectible or something. Like I don't know why we have it, but I made it bigger, and then later on I will stick the lionfish in there, which is also like kind of like my signature kind of piece. There we go. And it kind of looks a little bit more like a dragon head now because of the fins of the lionfish. Kind of looks really cool. So yeah, here you go, hardcore fans. I even could put in a dragon skull into the dungeons. Kind of made like some runes all around the stuff to kind of decorate it a little bit more. This is also not how it looks like in the series. This is just, I needed the skull and I needed something that looks like dungeons. But yeah, kind of winged it a lot as well. And here we are with the cells, because in Game of Thrones, every castle has cells where people are thrown in. So here's also some cells, which I put in there as well. And yeah, this is basically the whole basement for you guys. And therefore, this is also the last piece that I had to do for the interior. And as always, we are going to look at it in the video tour now. And yeah, it looks just really, really beautiful. I'm really excited that I could make it look like in the series. I think from the exterior, looks kind of a lot like the one in the TV show. And therefore, I'm really happy, because it was kind of tricky. But I love these kinds of builds. So if you have something from a TV show, a movie, a book, or something where there is references about, then let me know. I will try to build this in The Sims 4 if it's like a super interesting build. I have like a large list. I think the next one that I'm going to do for Sims 4 is also another Game of Thrones castle. I'm not sure if I'm going to do this right away, because I'm heading to EA Play and going to look at like new stuff that maybe is coming up for The Sims, and maybe we have to incorporate a little bit more of the maybe upcoming pack. I don't know. Hope we get a new pack. But yeah, maybe something from Star Wars or Star Trek. Like there are so many huge franchises that have like huge builds or like interesting kind of builds, which I would then try as well. But yeah, it looks really, really beautiful. Some gardens outside. The village is outside. It's very, very detailed and overgrown a little bit more. It doesn't look as overgrown in the series, but I just thought in The Sims 4 it kind of looks more lovely this way. I really hope that you like it. If you want to download this and use it in your game, of course, do so. Download this for free. I will put the link to the gallery in the video description down below, so you can download this there right away. and check it out and put it in your game and play Game of Thrones, or maybe change the whole Game of Thrones series with your Sims or something like this. I really hope that you're going to like this kind of build, because it took like really long time to build. And I especially love that I could put in some reference that we see in the TV shows, and I could put in some reference that we see, like, know from the books. Couldn't put in everything. But yeah, you have to make up for it a little bit in your gameplay then. But yeah, please write me also in the comments down below what you want to see next, and also maybe who or what you're going to play in there. Maybe this is also inspiring for me for the next castle build I'm going to do. And yeah, this is basically the whole spiel, guys. I really hope you like it, and maybe you have some tips for me what I have to do for the Game of Thrones series or something like this, because I've heard some people wanted to have Marine next, and what was the other one? Highgarden is also high in demand. Maybe I put up a poll. Yeah, this is what I'm going to do. I will put a poll up in the right corner of this video. There's a little info box icon. I will put a poll in there. Which castle from the Game of Thrones series is next? Marine or Highgarden? You have to put in your vote, and then I will see which one is going to be next. But yeah, here we are already with the dragon head, which looks really cool. I really like the idea with the lionfish that I could put in my signature lionfish in there. We love the lionfish god here on my channel. And of course the cells. So yeah, this rounds up, I think, the whole build, guys. I really hope that you like this video, and maybe subscribe to my channel if you are into Sims 4 builds or any kind of builds actually like these, and let me know. And yeah, subscribe to my channel. But yeah, this is basically it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.